Hi everyone, Aaron here for Zollotech, and Apple released macOS Tahoe 26.6 to the public. macOS 26.6 Tahoe is available around the world at the same time for everyone on all macOS 26 supported devices. Now if you're trying to install this update and you're not seeing it, you can find it by going into your system settings, going to General, and then Software Update. If you're still not seeing it, go back out, go back in, and try again, and it typically will show right up. Now, if you're on macOS 27 Golden Gate betas, you won't see this update as you're on a newer version. You would need to restore your Mac in order to try this version out. Now, this particular update came in at 13.52 gigabytes. This is on an M5 Max 14-inch MacBook Pro, and this update does have a lot of fixes, security updates, and much more. So let's go ahead and take a look at the build number and talk about what's new. So we'll go up to the Apple, go to About This Mac, and if we click on macOS Tahoe 26.6, you can see the public build is 25G72. And this particular update was released alongside many other updates with iOS 26.6, iPadOS 26.6, along with tvOS and HomePodOS 26.6, visionOS 26.6, and some older updates as well. Now, as far as what's new, well, if we take a look at the initial screen here that you may have seen already, you'll see right here that it says this update includes bug fixes, security updates, and optimizes the Spotlight Index to prepare for macOS 27. Now, this is the same thing we had on iOS 26.6, and this makes me think maybe this is the last version of macOS 26.6, or 26 in general. So we'll have to wait and see what Apple does here. Last year we did have additional updates to fix bugs, but this should be supported for a while, especially on devices that may not get macOS 27. Now let's go ahead and close out of this. As far as bug fixes, there's quite a few things to talk about. If we go into Safari here, the first thing is under the release notes. These are going to be the same as the RC. You'll see that we have some information here, where basically we have deprecations where encrypted HFS Plus or core storage is deprecated and will not be supported in macOS 28. This is something we typically don't see where Apple references a newer version coming later next year. Normally they don't do that ahead of time, but it says if you use encrypted HFS Plus backups on an external drive, begin backing up to encrypted APFS formatted external drives instead. That way they'll continue working. So they're getting rid of HFS Plus and of course switching to APFS, which we've had for some time. Also under Ecosystem, they resolved an issue where it says macOS deprecation notifications incorrectly identify a host app as Intel only when a system plugin loader such as a color picker or print dialog extension loads x86 code into the host process. Basically, it was popping up a notification incorrectly on some Macs, so that should now be fixed. They resolved an issue with HealthKit, where it says temporarily weighted average statistic queries for discrete quantity types, such as resting heart rate, may return erroneously high values when samples overlap in time. Also, they resolved an issue with messages where it said HDR screenshots might appear garbled when sent in messages. This was also resolved in iOS 26.6 as well. There's even more bug fixes according to macOS's What's New for Enterprise in macOS Tahoe 26. You'll see the latest with macOS Tahoe 26.6, and there's a few things here. For example, the SRV lookup enabled feature for the DFS shares introduced in macOS 26.5 is now disabled by default. For details on how to enable the feature, you can refer to this here, the manual page. As far as other things, they resolved an issue where the platform SSO devices unexpectedly required re-registration. Also, managed apps are more reliably offered updates through self-service apps. Also, it improves stability using an external camera with MacBook Neo while the lid is closed, and it also improves stability when restoring a MacBook Neo using Finder or Apple Configurator. That was a known issue before where some people couldn't restore properly. So those things are all resolved. However, I think they've fixed some more here, as this seems to be a much more stable update. So far, switching displays or plugging in external drives sometimes would fully reboot my system. This has not happened since this update, so they've resolved the overall stability of the system, and it seems much better. There's also many other security updates in this update. On Apple's security release website, if we scroll down, you'll see all of the releases I referenced earlier, but if we go to macOS Tahoe 26.6, there's over 150 security updates. So this is a very important update where everything from accounts to account framework You'll see we can continue to scroll on and on. You can see along the pages here, Crash Reporter, Data Detectors UI, Disk Images, Driver Kit, Foundation, Game Center, and on and on. Everything from the core of the OS with the kernel down to things such as, well, we'll keep going through the kernel, managed configuration, maps, and more. So for example, in maps in particular, the impact was a malicious app may be able to break out of its sandbox. Apps in general are sandboxed, so they can't talk to one another. And to fix this, a permissions issue was addressed with additional restrictions. And then you'll see the CVE number and those who submitted the issue. So lots of different fixes in this update with security updates, screen sharing, Siri, Storage Kit, WebDAV, WebKit, the underlying code for Safari, and on with Wi-Fi and more. So it looks like they've resolved a lot of issues, they've patched a lot of issues, and if you're wondering if you should install macOS 26.6, if you're already on macOS Tahoe, absolutely install it for the security updates. I've been running it for the past day. I've edited videos in it, my iOS 26.6 video. I've had 0 crashes. It seems far more stable this time around. So that's great news, and it looks like it's much better. So I definitely recommend it if you're on one of those devices. Now, if you're on an earlier version, you may want to hold off, but make sure you're on the latest version of the previous one, so Sequoia or whatever you're running. When it comes to overall performance, well, like I mentioned, I actually edited my video in Final Cut Pro. No differences there with performance whatsoever. And some people have actually said that the overall heat of the device has gone down, that the CPU temperatures have gone down. You'll see it says sensors not available, but you can see here read-write speeds and everything else. This is actually iStat menu. So this is just an app I use to see this, and you can see all the usage of things across the device. But basically, it's actually running quite well. The fans haven't sped up. I've had no issues, and I typically use it with an external device, whether that's a Pro Display XDR or others. As far as battery life, while I did use this in New York City for the past week, mostly on battery, I was able to edit an entire video or a couple videos and still have battery remaining. So over the last 10 days, you'll see the highest usage here. This was on 26.5.2. So you'll see energy usage throughout the day. I ran the battery down. Again, no real issues here. I was running in high power mode as well. Since I'm editing, I didn't even have it on automatic. I had it on high power mode and was very impressed with overall battery. But with 26.6, we'll have to give it a few days, see if it improves or anything else. As far as my overall battery health, I'm at 100%. This isn't that old of a Mac, but I would expect this to last some time. So overall, I think it's doing quite well. As far as the next release, well, if we take a look at the calendar here, now based on what we've seen from year to year, I would expect iOS 27 Beta 5 along with macOS 27 Beta 5 Golden Gate around the 3rd, so next week or so. Typically, we're on a bi-weekly schedule at this point, so we can expect iOS 27 Beta 5, iOS 27 Public Beta 3 along with this, and of course all the other updates. Then hopefully we'll be on a weekly release schedule, and then we'll have a public release typically in mid-September. Maybe on the 14th, somewhere around that time frame where we would see it released to the public. So that's what I'm expecting so far. We could see a macOS 26.6.1 if there's additional issues, or a macOS 26.7 later on, but at this point, Apple's really focused on the next version. So that's everything with macOS 26.6 Tahoe. Let me know if you've found any additional features or changes or noticed any other bug fixes. One other thing I forgot to mention is the screenshot bug seems to be working better. So if I screenshot right here, I can then click and drag this into a different app and it seems to work just fine. So I'm not really having any issues with that. It seems like it's working better. And there are some other small bugs fixed throughout, but it seems like Apple has really refined it now. But let me know your experience in the comments below. As always, I'll link this wallpaper for the iPhone in the description below, and if you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe, and if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. As always, thanks for watching. This is Aaron. I'll see you next time.